Alright guys, so welcome to the video. This week we're gonna kind of do it how we did last week. We're just gonna do it over the video here, which I'm sure you kind of know since you're watching this. So this week we're gonna talk about relationships between databases and database tables. This shows it kind of the best, kind of a quick thing I found online. There's three types of relationships we're gonna talk about, and we'll go through all the different examples, but there is a one-to-one relationship, one-to-many, and many-to-many. So one-to-one usually is, let me open the command here. So one-to-one sometimes can be described as that, just 1:1. And that basically means that there's one table that's assigned another table. So one table talks to another table, and that's it. So a good example of this would be if you had a table with all your employees, okay, and then they're assigned one parking space. So in one table you have all your employees, and then in another table you have what parking space they're assigned. So parking space would have to go back to the employee table to figure out which employee is assigned that parking space. Okay, so that's how that would work. And then you would need a foreign key to define that relationship. In other words, in here you would need to have some sort of foreign key or some sort of column that defines, what employee owns that parking spot. And so those two tables communicate to kind of let you know what happens. Okay, and so in this case, it basically you have, there's a parking space that belongs to an employee. And the reason why we talk about that is because in Rails, we're going to start up, we define these relationships before we start doing stuff. So basically the foreign keys are always going to be on the side that belongs to. So the parking spaces belong to the employee, so you would define the foreign keys on the side of the parking space side. Okay. All right, and then you have one-to-many, where you have, in this case, you would have an order. This actually is weird. I'm not even sure what an order line is. But this is where you would have one table that has a ton of different orders, I guess. Another good example here would be, if you had a teacher and then you had a bunch of classrooms. So you have one teacher that's assigned many classrooms. So again, those classrooms belong to that teacher, so that's one-to-many relationship. It's one teacher that has many different classrooms. Where here it's one employee, one parking space. Here you have a table, so you have a table with a bunch of different classrooms in it. Well, you could have class 149, 349, bunch of different classrooms be assigned to one teacher. So that's a one-to-many relationship. You have one, and then you have a bunch of different things that belong to. So in this case, that's still the classroom would belong to that teacher. So the foreign key would be set up inside of the classrooms. Okay, then many-to-many, this is a good example here. You have a bunch of students that take a bunch of different courses. So you could have science, math, English, Photoshop, web design, all these different courses that are taken by a ton of different students. And then you have a bunch of different students that take a bunch of different courses. It can go back and forth. So that's a many-to-many relationship. And this one, you don't really have anything that belongs to anything. Not one course belongs to one student, and not one student belongs to just one course, because it's many-to-many. So you don't really use foreign keys in the many-to-many, but we'll get to that. But anyway, so it's just important that you understand these different relationships. And these are the tables inside of these databases. So you'd have a table with all the employees, and each employee is assigned one parking space. Now the one-to-one isn't used hardly ever. It's almost always one-to-many and many-to-many. So we'll go over the one-to-one and how to do it, but just know that it's not used hardly at all. Okay. So anyways, just so we know in Rails here, we would say basically here that employee has one parking space. Okay, and then we would say that the parking space belongs to one employee. Okay, that's how you would define that in Rails, and we'll do that. Okay, in one-to-many, you would say, we'll go with the teacher class thing. The teacher has many courses, right? And then the course belongs to the teacher. And then in here, you use a really long method that has and belongs to many. So you would say student has and belongs to many courses, and courses has and belongs to many students. Okay. So anyways, that is how you set it up. All right, so let's hop into here. By the way, you got one-to-one, you got one-to-many, which is usually 1:m, and then you have m:(n), which is many-to-many. Kind of weird how it's not m, but mn. There you go. So I'm going to get into my root folder. Okay, and then I'm going to open it here in Atom. All right, so I got to the root folder, which is Heroku here, and then I just did Atom space period. We've done that a bunch of times now. Okay, and I'm also going to open up pgadmin. Now, I was opening this and it started yelling at me that I didn't have version 1.2, so I went and downloaded that and installed it, and when I did, it gave me this, pgadmin v1. So I think you'll still be okay if you're using 1.1, but it wouldn't shut up about 1.2, so I went to the link they gave me and downloaded it and installed it. Okay, and if you're not sure what version you're running, it will tell you right there. 1.2 is the most up-to-date one. Okay, you also should be able to go help about, and it'll tell you what version you're on. Okay. Anyways, drop down the servers. Okay, I'm going to drop down my server here. Oh, it must have remembered my password. I typed it in. I think it was yesterday. So, okay, so I'm going to head into Documents. Okay, RRR. Now I made a little note for me that I use Heroku in class because I have a hard time remembering. I'm kind of getting old, so whatever. So Heroku in class is what I'm going to use. So I already played around in the app one, so we're going to go Heroku development. You're going to do whatever you're calling this database. Okay, whatever you've been doing up to this time. So I'm going to go into schemas, public, go inside of tables. Okay. We're going to keep this open because as we make changes to the database in here, we're going to come over here and make sure that those changes took place. So we'll keep that open. I'll just minimize that for now. All right, so what we're going to do, so we opened it in Atom here. Okay, we got our scopes that we did a while back. Now I'm going to hop over to the models, which we need to be in. Okay, so I have admin user. Okay, I have a bunch of different things here. Okay, now there's something I may not have said I can't remember, but it's really, really important that you made the changes here. You need to make sure that this says class admin user, capital A, capital U, no space. You need to make sure that you renamed that to admin underscore user. And you got to make sure that in your database that there's admin users, admin underscore users in your database, because we're going to be playing around with this a lot. If you didn't set that up correctly, then make sure you go back and watch the video and make sure you get that done, because we're going to be doing a lot inside of here. with the admin user. All right, I just had to pause there because, yeah, you shouldn't have anything in here inside of adminuser.rb. I'm going to get rid of this. Okay, so it should just be kind of empty here, and we will be writing stuff in here later. All right, so we're going to define these relationships, and we're basically going to tell Ruby and Rails basically how these databases here and how these tables inside of the database are going to talk to each other and the different relationships they're going to have. All right, so we're going to do a one-to-one first. Okay, so one employee is assigned one parking space. Okay, and that's as far as it goes. The one thing is assigned one thing. All right, so the way you do that, let's kind of open this here, we'll expand it. Okay, we're going to go into the subject. Okay, we have our scope here, and we're just going to put it above the scope. All right, so what we need to say, so right here we're going to have a subject. Remember how we're going to be setting this up is we're basically going to have one subject inside of here, inside of this table, okay, that refers to one page, and that's it. So what we're going to have is, one subject will have multiple pages. It's a one-to-many relationship, but here we're just showing you how to do the one-to-one. All right, so we're going to go to the subject, okay, and we're going to say has underscore one, space, colon, page. And you can start to see that this is definitely, Ruby was meant to be more of like an English, I don't know how to say it, but an English-based programming language where it's trying to make this pretty difficult SQL be pretty easy. Just has one page. Okay, so it has one thing inside of the page table here that's going to refer to it. Okay, so and we're setting up that one-to-one relationship. So we're saying it has one page. Okay, then we can hop over to page. Okay, and we're going to define that. So you always have to define both sides of the relationship. So subject is going to have one page. Okay, and then we come in here and we're going to define. Okay, and then we're going to say what it belongs to. So we're going to say it belongs underscore to. And think about it for a second. What do you think this is going to belong to? Yeah. It's going to belong to subject. All right. So this is saying there's going to be one item inside that page table that the class subject is going to have, and then page is going to belong to one subject. Okay, it goes back to this. There's going to be one section that applies to one page, and one page belongs to one section. Okay. Oops, wrong one here. There we go. Okay, and now, and just remember that the belongs to side is always going to have that foreign key. All right, so when we come down here to our migration files here, we got create pages. Remember, we added those indexes, subject and permalink. Those are going to be those, its subject ID is that foreign keys, because that's that is the record here that defines what subject this page belongs to. Okay, so you got to make sure that that works and that you define that. Okay, so because we've already added the index here, it already kind of Rails handles that and already makes it a foreign key, so it just kind of handles it for us, which is pretty nice. Okay, so now that we've defined that inside a page, belongs to subject, okay, and has one page. Okay, and you may even want to put something here like one-to-one relationship, something like that, just to help you know what's going on there and help you remind yourself there. All right, so I'm inside the root folder here. So I'm going to go into my console, so Rails C. Okay, and we can take a look at what we have here. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to view all the roles. This is in my subject table. Okay, so I created these subjects last week. So Ruby on Rails, PHP rocks, CSS styling. I'm just going to select the first one here. So I'm going to do a find. So I'm going to say subject equals subject. Now we're calling the class. Okay, remember this is just a variable we're creating, and this is the subject class. This refers to this right here. We're going to use this class, which uses application record. We go up to application record, which uses active record. Okay, so we're using active record. It's a way we communicate with the database using Rails. Okay, so we're saying use the subject class here, which we've defined down here to search the database and give us what we want. And that's what we're going to say is find one. Okay, so it goes out there. It finds the Ruby on Rails section or subject, okay, and it stores that inside a subject. So now, if you remember, this is just kind of a review. I can say subject dot position, okay, and it returns 1 to me, and it's 1 because the position right here is 1 for that subject. Okay, now we can type subject.page. Okay, and this is going to give us information. Now, if you look before, we're selecting from the subjects table, right? But because we've set up this relationship, we're able to say subject.page. In other words, use this subject and go off to the page to kind of figure out what's attached to it. Okay. Now, because it goes off to the pages table and it basically tries to see if there's any page that's related to this Ruby on Rails subject. Okay, so it's trying to go out there and see, all right, is there a page attached to this subject? Well, we haven't told it and we haven't defined anything, so it returns nil right here. So it says, okay, I went out and looked at the pages table. Okay, so I went out there and looked at this table, and it tried to find a page or some sort of entry inside of this table that refers to or is tied to this subject right here, which is the Ruby on Rails subject. And so it went out there, tried to find a page, and it couldn't find one. Okay, so this is a page is a method here. This page is a method that we can use to with the has one and belongs to relationship, which is right here. You know, the has one page, okay, belongs to, where'd it go? All right, sorry, had a bunch of stuff open, just kind of had to close out some of that. So anyways, so yeah, we've defined here that class and page, or that subject and page here are related here, but we haven't gone out and actually said what page is going to be, so what page inside of the pages table is going to be related to what subject. We haven't assigned Ruby on Rails to some page. We haven't assigned PHP rocks to some page. We haven't done anything like that yet. So that's why when we came out here, I love how it just, there we go. So that's when we come out here and we said, all right, what page is related to this subject, Ruby on Rails? It came back and said, nil. There's nothing. All right, so page is this method here that we can use to go out there and see what page is equal to it. Another thing we need to point out here is it did try to find something with the subject ID of 1. Okay, so it was trying to look on the pages table here for something with the subject with an ID of 1 because that's what would attach them together. So if there was a page out there with a subject ID of 1, then we would know that it's attached to Ruby on Rails. If there was something out there with a subject ID of 2, then we would know it's attached to PHP Rock, subject ID of 4, CSS is styling. All right, so that is what it went out there and tried to look for, subject ID of 1. All right, so you could assign it to a page by typing subject.page equals page. Okay, but that flips out because it's not assigned yet. So when you type that in there, it tries to do it, but it doesn't work yet. Okay, the other thing we can do is we can try to go the other direction. We can say, so we were doing subject.page, okay, and it's given us nil. We are able to say page.subject. You can go the other way around. So if I had something inside of page, if I had a page stored in there, I could say page.subject, and that would let me know what subject is attached to that page. All right, so let's do that now, because we're getting all these errors right now because we don't have anything stored inside a page. We do have something inside a subject, which is that first subject, but we want to save something here inside a page. So I'm actually going to use the variable first page, okay, and that's going to be equal to page.new. Okay, so again, we're going back to use this page class right here, okay, which belongs to subject. All right, so we're going to say page.new, and we're going to give it a name. Okay, remember we're declaring here, we're going inside a page. We got our different columns. So when we declare a new page, okay, we got to start giving it this information. So ID, subject. So I'm going to give it a name here. All right, so we'll call it just first page. We'll give it a permalink. I'll just call it first here. Okay, I'm going to give it a position of 1. All right, and I'm going to hit enter there. Okay, so remember we used the new method. We didn't use create, so it didn't create it in the database yet. It's just setting it up for us. So it created a new page here, but it didn't put it in the database yet. The ID is nil, subject is nil, the name is first page, permalink is first, position is 1, and all these other things are nil because I didn't define them. Okay, so I can say first page dot subject underscore ID. Okay, and that's returning nil to me because it doesn't have an ID assigned to it yet. Okay, I should probably come over here and let's open up the pages. Okay, we don't have anything inside the pages table yet. So if I try to pull a subject ID, it's not going to give me anything because I didn't define it. Okay, now we can basically assign this page here, and we'll be able to assign them together. We're basically going to hook them up here. All right, so we can say subject dot page. Okay, and we're going to set that equal to first page. So we're going to say take this subject, okay, and we're going to assign it a page, and the page that we're going to assign it is called first page. First page is what we just created up here. All right, so when we do this, it knows because of the relationship we defined here that belongs to subject and that has one page. Okay, it knows about the relationship. And it knows that because they're related, that you can just automatically do this and create the SQL that's needed. All right, so if we take a look at here, we'll open this up here. We'll view the data again. Okay, we can see that it created a new page, called it first page, gave it a permalink of first, and then it gave it this subject ID because inside of here, the subject that we had stored inside of here had the ID of 1. So when we did this, it already knew that, okay, this subject had an ID of 1, so that's what I'm going to put inside of this page that I create. So the subject ID of 1. So this ties first page to the Ruby on Rails subject. Okay, so now this first page is tied to the Ruby on Rails subject because the subject ID is 1 and the ID of Ruby on Rails subject is 1. All right, so we took that subject, Ruby on Rails, okay, and we did a page and we set that page equal to first page. And so it goes out there and it does the SQL. Okay, you can see that it made the subject ID of 1 because that's the subject ID that subject held for Ruby on Rails. Name first page, it went in there, committed it, okay, and then it returned all the information that it now put in for that page. So the page ID is 1, the subject ID is 1, which ties it to the Ruby on Rails subject. Name was first page, permalink, first, it all matches down here. Okay, so now that it did this, we are able to kind of play around with this. So we can say first page dot subject ID, okay, and it returns 1 because we made that association there. First page dot name, okay, it gives us first page. So again, we're just querying the database to kind of pull that information out. But the main thing that's important that you understand is because we saved the Ruby on Rails subject inside of there, and we said we're going to create basically a new page that's attached to this subject, and the page that we're creating is first page. It's just important that you realize that that's what made the connection. That's what made the connection between first page and the Ruby on Rails subject. Okay, and the way they're connected is that subject ID. The 1 is the same ID that Ruby on Rails has, so therefore they're connected. And they have that one-to-one relationship. Okay, so the Ruby on Rails subject, let's see if I can get rid of this. Okay, so if we come back here, this Ruby on Rails, I need to not open that. There we go. So the Ruby on Rails subject has 1 page. Okay, and the 1 page that it has is that first page. Okay, so that part of the relationship is defined. And if we head back over to page, well, that page, the first page that we created, belongs to a subject. And the subject that it belongs to is Ruby on Rails. So you can see how the way Ruby is written here in more of this English fashion, you know, it makes sense that it has 1 page and that page is the first page. Okay, and then that one belongs to one subject, which is the Ruby on Rails subject. Okay, and it was able to know and write the correct SQL because we defined that relationship before we created the code there. Okay. Okay, a couple other things I want to show you that you can type. So now that everything's stored inside the memory, we can say first page dot subject. Okay, and this will tell us what subject is attached to that first page, which we know is the Ruby on Rails subject. We can also go the reverse direction. We can say subject, which is the Ruby on Rails subject, page. And we can ask it, all right, what page is attached to that subject? Well, it's first page. So you can check the different relationships that exist by typing in the variable that holds that page or holds whatever you're doing, and then you can run these different methods to take a look at what it's attached to. Okay, and you can see that the methods are the exact same names here of these model files. Okay, But that's how you can make sure that the relationships are taking place. Is you can say, all right, I got my subject of Ruby on Rails. What page is attached to it? Oh, it's the first page. Okay, cool. Now I have my first page stored inside of first page. What subject is attached to it? Oh, okay, Ruby on Rails. And it'll tell that, and then you'll be able to make sure that those relationships are set up correctly. All right, now if we wanted to take this relationship and basically get rid of it and say I don't really want the first page to be associated with that first subject anymore, you can say subject.page is equal to nil. Okay, and you can come in here and then we can take a look at, let's see here, we can refresh here. Okay, and we can say this first page now, the subject ID is null. In other words, it's empty. It's not attached to any subject anymore. But you can see also that it's still in the database. Okay, so this is called an orphaned record. This is something that doesn't have a parent object that it's attached to. It's out there, it has no subject ID, so it has no subject that it's attached to, so it's basically in the database sitting there, not just taking up space. It's not attached to anything. So this will not be able to communicate with any other things in any other tables because it doesn't have that foreign key anymore. All right, now because this is a one-to-one and it's not really used a whole lot, we're just going to get rid of it. So this basically took the association away. It's not associated with anything in any other table anymore. So if we wanted to get rid of it, it's subject.page.destroy. Maybe. Yeah, that didn't work because right now there's no association, right? So if I go subject.page, it's going to return nil because there is no page associated to that subject anymore. So when I did subject.page.destroy, it's like, well, I don't know what page you want me to destroy because that association is no longer there. So if we do subject.page equal to first page again, okay, and we recreate that. Okay, we're going to recreate that. We come back here, we refresh it. We should see that subject ID and everything again. Yep, so it's no longer null. So that association is there again. We can say subject.page. Okay, and it gives it back to us. We can say first page.subject, gives it that. So now we can say subject.page.destroy. Okay, and this will get rid of it from the database. All right, so now it says delete, and you can see what it does. So now if we come back here and right click and we refresh, or I guess we can just view the data again for the pages, it's no longer there. Took it out. All right, so that's the one-to-one relationship. We just had that one page be tied to that one subject. Okay, so now we want to talk about the one-to-many associations where we could have one subject with multiple pages that call back to it. All right, so this, like I said, it used a lot more than one-to-one. Now, because in this case we would have one subject and multiple pages, the way this works and the way it's set up, it's kind of like the post global array with PHP. Remember how that would return all of the items that people have filled out in a form back as an array? It's kind of the same thing here. When we call it, it's going to return, in this case, all of the pages in an array that are tied to that subject. So if we had a subject of, I don't know, Ruby, right, or Rails, and we wanted to have a page for each command, we would have all these different commands that go back to that Ruby table. So, and the pages here would be returned when we go in here and we start calling it, they're going to be returned as an array. Okay. So Anyways, you're going to use one-to-many usually when one object has many objects that belong to it exclusively, like I was saying. So if you had a Ruby object or a Rails object that had a bunch of different pages that were only assigned to that table, then this is when you would use it. Okay, so going back to this, right, we had one teacher was assigned to many different rooms. Alrighty. So we have to go in here and we have to define those relationships. Okay, so it's going to be basically subject no longer has just one page, right? It's going to have, well, let's keep this here. I'll just comment it out. And we can say something like, this is one-to-one. And we just got to think it through, right? So there's going to be one subject that has multiple pages. So to define that, it's going to be has many pages, right? That's all you got to do. You're just saying that this subject, this class subject, is going to have a lot of pages, has many pages attached to it. So we'll save that and head back over here, and we don't have to change anything here because page is going to belong to subject. Okay, there's nothing different that's going to happen there. Page is still going to belong to subject, but subject is going to have many pages. All right, so now that we made that change, because this is a one-to-many relationship, there are a bunch of different methods now that we have. You know, before we could say subject.page, and it would give us the page that's assigned to that subject, or we could say, what was it, first_page.subject, and that would give us what subject was assigned to that page. I think it might have led you astray. I said that, you know, when we were doing that, it was whatever these were named. I don't think that's correct. I think it's whatever these are named. So when you said first page dot subject, you're using subject because you defined it as subject here, I'm pretty sure. Okay, and then right here we had has one page, so you could say subject dot page and it would show you. So you can see that it's going to be a little bit different now. So it's one-to-many, so there's still one subject for multiple pages, so I could say subject.pages, and that's going to give us all the different pages in an array that are assigned to whatever subject is stored inside of this variable subject. So that's how that's going to work. Another thing that you can do here is if you were to do something like this, subject.pages less than page, what that does is it adds whatever's stored inside a page inside of this array of pages that are attached to that subject. You can also do, you know, subject.pages.delete, and then whatever page you're deleting. Okay, you can do this. So delete's just gonna get rid of, it's just gonna remove it from the array, is all that's doing. It doesn't get it rid of the actual from the database. That's why, again, you have the destroy, right? You can do subject.pages.clear, okay, and that's going to remove all the pages from that subject, all of them. So this is just getting rid of one, right? This is going to get rid of all of them, all of the different pages from that subject. It's going to remove it, remove all the associations there. Won't get rid of it from the database. It just, you remember here when that page had a null subject ID, that's what it would do. Okay, you can also say empty, and that's going to tell you if the array is empty or not, if there's anything associated with it. Okay, you can also say subject.pages.size, and that's going to tell you how many, in this case, how many pages are in that array that are attached to that subject. So there's a bunch of different things you can do. We're not going to do all of that, but we are going to do a few of those commands. All right, so we went to the subject model, okay, and we changed it to has many pages, which is right. Okay, we went into page and says it belongs to subject. We didn't change that. We kept that the same. Okay, so now we'll go back here. And I'm going to go, we're going to find that first subject again. This is actually redundant. I've kind of already have this stored inside a subject, but we'll do it anyways. So subject is going to be equal to subject.find1, which is the Ruby on Rails subject. Okay, so we're going to be messing with that one again. So what we're doing is we're going to be attaching multiple pages to this one subject Ruby on Rails. So for the thing that we're making here, be like you'd have a subject that you would click on the web page. You'd click on it, and that would show you all the different subjects that are underneath that, or it'd show you all those different pages that are underneath that subject. All right, so if I type in subject.page, you know what, that should have given us an error. Okay, this is probably a good example here how, because we went in here and we saved this stuff, I don't think it's been refreshed here. So I'm going to exit out. I'm going to hop back in. So I'm going to say Rails console. I think when you change these, sometimes it's loading a cached version, so it's not really doing what it should. So let's do that again. So subject dot find the first one, the one with the ID of 1. Now if we say subject.page, yeah, now it's freaking out. Because it's a one-to-many relationship, subject.page is not going to work because it has multiple pages now. So subject.page, that method of page doesn't exist anymore because it should be pages. So now if I say subject.pages, it's going to come back out and say, all right, it gives me an empty array right here because there's no pages that are associated with that subject. Okay, so let's create a page. We already killed the one. Okay, so we're going to create another one basically. So we'll call it first page again, equals page.new. And then we're just going to put all the information in here. We're going to give it a name of first page again. The permalink is going to be the same that we had before, so permalink of 1. Okay, and we'll give it a position of 1 as well. All right, so we didn't create, we did a new, so it's not inside the database yet. Okay. All right, so what we want to do now is associate that page with this subject. So we have the subject here, okay, which gives us Ruby on Rails. So we're going to say subject.pages. In other words, we want to add a page to this subject, and we use the less than first page. So we're taking the subject that's stored inside a subject, which is Ruby on Rails. Okay, we're saying, okay, we're going to be adding a page. We're going to be adding a page to it using this method, pages. Okay, and the page that we're going to add to this array of pages is first page. And first page is what we did when we did right here, page.new. Okay, we stored this new page inside of first_page. So yeah, we're taking this subject, Ruby on Rails, we're going to be adding this first page to the arrays that are inside of pages. So I hit enter there. And again, Rails is smart enough to write the correct SQL. All right, so it's inserting inside of pages, the subject ID and all of that. So we can come over here and take a look and see what it did. Okay, so it created an ID of 2 because that's the auto incrementing, because there was something already in there with an ID of 1, so it just kept going, went to 2. Subject ID, again, it relates it to that first subject. Okay, the subject with the ID of 1. Okay, first page, permalink 1, and so forth. Oh, that permalink should have been first. That's okay. So now I should be able to say subject.pages. Okay, and it'll tell me what's associated to it. Yeah, I don't think, yeah, the permalink of that, well, geez, I don't know. We can say subject, we can try something that we had here. So pages dot destroy. Okay, and we're going to destroy first page. Okay, so it got rid of it. This is good because I actually have never done this. So, okay, so it's gone. So I want to recreate that again. So first page, because I messed it up, is going to be equal to page.new. Okay, the name is going to be first page. Okay, the permalink is going to be equal to first. That's where I messed up before. Okay, and then the position is going to be equal to 1. All right, so it set it in the memory. So now we got subject.pages. Okay, and we're going to add first page to that. So again, this is just, if you're still kind of scratching your head, and I'm not going to lie, I kind of was too for a while, all this is doing is associating this subject with this page. It's attaching this page, and it's making it be attached to this subject. That's all we're doing. We're making a one-to-many relationship right here when we're doing this. Okay. All right, so it inserted it in there. Now if I come back here, I should have an ID of 3 because this is the third page I put in here. So you can view all the rows. Okay, so ID of 3, subject ID is 1. That attaches it to the Rails subject. If you're still kind of scratching your head on that one, remember if we come over here, so subject ID is 1. If we come over to the subjects and we take a look at those, okay, this has an ID of 1. So that's all that you're saying there at that page. When the page has a subject ID of 1, well, that attaches it to Ruby on Rails. If it had a subject ID of 2, then it would attach it to PHP Rocks. If it had a subject ID of 4, it would attach it to CSS styling. So that's all that's going on there. So let's go back and take a look. So Ruby on Rails has an ID of 1. So I come over here. Okay, and first page has a subject ID of 1. So that attaches it to Ruby on Rails. Okay, that's all we're saying there. Okay, so now that we've done that, we did it again, we can say subject.pages, so we can see all the pages that are attached to the Ruby on Rails subject. It gives us this array, but there's only one thing in the array. All right, so we should be able to say subject.pages.size. Okay, that gives us 1, so there's only one thing in the array. And we can say subject.pages.empty, question mark, and you'll say false because the array is not empty. So there's a bunch of different things here you can type in. All right, so we're going to create another page now. So we'll go second page. It's going to be equal to page. Let's see here. That brain farts a lot. Sorry, guys. So page.new, we're going to say name is going to be equal to second page, because remember this is one to many, so now we can have multiple pages be attached to that one subject. And again, sorry for the crazy babies in the background. So we're going to say permalink is going to be equal to, this is just going to be second, because this is going to be second page. Okay, and then the position we're going to have be 2. Okay, so now inside of second underscore page, we've created this new page with the name of second page. Okay, name is second page, the permalink is second, the position is 2, and all of that. Okay, so now we just kind of do what we did before. We can take that command and we can just add it to that array, and that's going to put it inside the database. So we can say subject, okay, which is that Ruby on Rails subject dot pages, and we're going to add to that array what's stored inside of second page. Okay, so insert inside of pages. We can come over here, take a look at what happened. Okay, so it has an ID of 4, which is to be expected, but the subject ID is still 1 because this second page is attached to the Ruby on Rails subject. This second page is attached to the Ruby on Rails subject. That's what defines that. Remember, this is that foreign key that makes it so these two tables, the pages table and the subjects table, can communicate with each other and attach things to one another. Okay? So now subject.pages, what do you think is going to show up? I'm going to pause for a few seconds here, try to think, okay, or just pause the video. What do you think is going to come up when I hit this? Well, if you said 2 things inside the array, you would be correct. Okay, so there's page ID of 3, subject ID of 1. Okay, we got first page showed up. Okay, and then second page showed up. I can say subject.pages.size, tells me there's 2 things in there, which is good. And that's exactly what we would think. So it's pretty similar to what we were doing before. The only thing that we're looking at here are the relationships. Okay, that's the thing you need to keep in your brain here, is that we're looking at how many different pages are related to the subject of Ruby on Rails. And that's what we're pulling here, is because of subject ID of equaling 1, we know that first page and second page are attached to the Ruby on Rails subject. All right, now if I wanted to disassociate the second page with that subject, I can do that. And we kind of already did it, but not really. So we can go subject.pages.delete, okay, before we did destroy. But this is delete, and we're going to delete second page. Okay, so if we go here and refresh and take a look at what that did. Holy Hannah, there we go. All right. So we kind of already did this. So second page, again, still exists in the database, but the subject ID is null now, so now it's an orphaned record. Okay, it has no page, it's not associated to anything, it's just there taking up space. So, that's how you can dissociate pages to the parent thing, which is subject. All right, so now if we come back and we say subject.pages, it only gives us the 1. This exists in the database still. It's given us first page because that has subject ID of 1, but this doesn't show up because it's no longer associated with that subject because the subject ID is null. And if we were to go subject.pages.size, okay, it tells us there's 1. There's only 1 page that's associated to that table or to that subject. All right. Hold on for a second. Yeah, sorry about all the pausing. I just got to keep checking my notes here. Usually, if this was live, I would be able to just kind of pause, let you guys catch up, but don't have that. So now I could say first page subject, and it goes back and forth. Okay, um, so we can start, I think you should be able to go first page dot subject dot size. No, you can't go that way. You can only take it the other way. Size is probably for the many side. Um, we know that there will always only be one subject, so that's probably why it's freaking out there. Okay. There's one thing we need to talk about really quick, and I actually ran into this issue, and it'll be interesting to see if I'm going to run into it again when we go through this stuff. But there's this thing called belongs to presence validation. In Ruby 5, on Rails 5, I mean, let's kind of bring this up. Holy cow, guys. That is so annoying. Go away. All right. Holy cow, that's doing okay. So when we come over here, and we're saying it belongs to subject, right? So what belongs to presence validation is this only exists in 5.0 and higher. So if you're doing anything in Rails 4 something or 3 something, this doesn't exist. But this is a validation that exists to belongs to. And what it does is if I was in here creating pages and I was trying to create a page that didn't have a subject, like here, let's see if I can do it. Let's see, I could go shooting off the hip here, which can sometimes get me in trouble. But if I were to create a new page, okay, there it is. Maybe. Sorry, that's acting a little weird. Let's load that back up. Okay, CDRR, CD, Heroku, boom. All right, so I'm going to go Rails C, get into the console. Now, if I were to create a page but not associate a subject to it, so I could say crazy page is equal to page.new, and then we'll set it up. We'll just say name is going to be crazy page. Okay, just kind of what we did before. Permalink is going to be equal to CP for crazy page. Now by crazy, I mean it doesn't have a subject associated with it. So basically we're creating a page that would automatically be an orphaned record because it wouldn't have anything there. Let me say position, I don't know, 3. All right, so I created it. So crazy page, permalink, CP, position 3, and so forth. And I saved that. Oh, geez. I already forgot. Was it crazy page? No. That's frustrating and annoying. Crazy? Crazy page? There we go. Saved it inside a crazy page. All right, so if I were to say crazy page.save, it's going to freak out at me. Okay, it's saying, hey, I tried to do it, but then it rolled back. This belongs to present validation. The problem here is we haven't defined a subject. Now, if I were to say subject.pages and then load crazy page, that isn't going to work because subject doesn't equal anything right now. So if I go subject equals subject.find1, okay, that'll work. So now if I were to say subject.pages, load in crazy page, it works. It works fine because I told it to go into that subject. Where with up here, I was saying just save crazy page. But it freaks out because it's like, well, wait a minute. Every time I create a page, it needs to have a subject associated to it. And I didn't do that. I didn't say what I said here, use subject, which is the first subject here that I saved in here. I said the first subject needs to be stored inside a subject, and then I said, using this subject, create a page called crazy page. And then it was able to do it like we did it before. But before up here, when I said crazy page.save, it couldn't because of Rails 5.0. it's a way to keep you from creating these orphaned records that don't have any subject associated to it. So, anyways, now I should be able to say subject dot pages destroy crazy page. Okay, and it gets rid of it. But if I say crazy page, it's still saved in there. So if I say crazy page dot save again, it's gonna. Oh, did it work? Maybe because it was already associated. Well, hold on. Again, I'm shooting off from the hip here. So I may be learning things along with you. Okay, so it doesn't exist. So that's weird. I'm not sure what it's doing there. But all that matters is right up here. This began rollback means that page didn't have a subject associated with it, so it rolled it back to prevent you from creating this orphaned record. All right. So if that happens, it just means you need to do what your associations here are defining. It just means you have to define a subject along with that page. And you could do that by doing what I did there, where I just said, subject dot pages, and then do crazy page with that subject. Or when you create the new page, when I said crazy page is equal to page.new, you would just need to define a subject ID. Because when you define the subject ID, that attaches it to a subject. Okay. So if I were to do that, it would assign it to the subject with the ID of 4. So that's all we're letting you be aware of there. Is just there's that. The belongs to presence validation. It's a thing in 5.0. If you have something that belongs to something and you try to create it with something that it belongs to without it, it won't work. Okay. But we'll go over that a little bit. Well, yeah, I think we're okay with that. Just be aware of it. Okay. That is kind of weird though that if I go subject dot crazy page, yeah, you can't bring it up. If I go subject dot pages, yeah, it just has that one, the first page. Cool. All right, so that's the present validation. Just make sure that the belongs to needs to always have a subject defined to it if you want to create it. All right, now we're going to talk about many to many. Again, this is this type of a relationship where you can have multiple students taking multiple courses, and you can have multiple courses assigned to different students. If I were to take a course, not every course is assigned to just me. You have tons of different students taking tons of different courses and vice versa. So that's a many-to-many relationship. And there's two types we're going to talk about. There's a simple one, and then there's a rich one, is what it's called. Okay. So again, this is used when objects have many objects that belong to it, but not exclusively. Like here, the teacher exclusively had a bunch of different rooms assigned to her. And here, you don't have one student taking up all the courses, and you don't have one course taking up all the students. It's just there's many-to-many relationship. Okay? Now, the way this works is here, like we saw with with the section in the pages, we have, let's head in here inside of the pages. We have it being defined by the foreign key, right? The subject ID says I belong to this subject. Well, you can't do that in many-to-many because first page may have a bunch of different subject IDs, or or the subjects might have a bunch of different page IDs. So it can get a little crazy. So there has to be kind of a middleman. And you have to create what's called a join table. Okay, like that, join table. And this table basically sits in the middle. So we would have the subject, okay, with all of its subject IDs. Well, I guess if we go back to what we were doing. So we would have the students, okay, and they'd have all their IDs. And then we have a table with courses, and the courses would all have their IDs. Well, it just doesn't work like a one-to-many would. Because with a one-to-many, you would have, okay, each course has an ID that defines it to that one student. Well, that doesn't work because we have multiple students taking multiple courses, and we have tons of different courses having a bunch of students in it. So you have to have something in the middle. And that's what this join table does. And what the join table does is it holds the foreign keys of both. So it holds both foreign keys. So now it can say, all right, student George has an ID of 1, okay, and he's taking the course with the ID of 2. So the join table would then be able to hook up George with that course. So it would hold George's ID, which is 1, and it would hold the course, I don't know, science course that has the ID of 2, so it would hold 1 and 2, and with those two different keys, you've now hooked up George with his course. And then if George is going to take another class, well, you would have, again, the student ID of 1 inside the join table with another ID of a different course. So this whole other table is there to be able to match up the students with the correct courses and the courses with the correct students. It goes both ways. So that's what that join table does. It holds the foreign keys of both so it can match these two groups of information together properly. All right. So that's how that's going to work. And we also have to define that relationship inside of those, inside of these model pages as well. Okay, another thing I want to mention is because of this, foreign keys don't, or hold on here, indexes don't really, primary keys don't work very well. Okay, because it's going off of like the subject ID and the page ID to kind of hook them both together, or in this case, it's going off the student ID with the course ID to hook them both together. A primary key is just kind of worthless. You can't really use it. Where here, right, in the one-to-many, it does work because first page is actually hooked up to Ruby on Rails primary key because it's one-to-many. It works. All of the many things, all the different pages can hook up to that one primary key, which is the ID of that subject, and it works fine. But in a one-to-many, that doesn't work because, great, George has an ID of 1, that's his primary key, and science has an ID of 3, that's its primary key, but it doesn't work when you have multiple students trying to take that and multiple courses being applied to different students. So primary keys in these don't really work, and they don't really need to be there. Okay, so what we're going to do to set this up to have many-to-many is we're going to have many admin users are going to be able to edit many pages. So we're going to set it up to where we could have 5 different admin users being able to be attached to and have the ability to edit multiple pages. So then multiple pages would be assigned to different admin users. So it goes both ways. So that's what we're going to set up here. So the first thing we got to do to get this going is we got to create that join table that we talked about. Okay, we got to create the join table that's going to hold the foreign keys of, in this case, the admin users, okay, and the page IDs. So we can assign someone with the admin user ID of 1 to the page with the ID of 2. And then that person could be assigned to pages with the IDs of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just that. And then we can set up the page with the ID of 2 to be hooked up to the admin users with the IDs of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth. It goes both ways. All right, so we need to create this join table that's going to hold both of those primary keys to be able to hook them up together. Okay. So the naming convention for these join tables usually goes something like this. It's going to be the name of the table, of the first table, underscore the name of the other table. Okay, and it usually goes, it should be plural, and it should be in alphabetical order. Alphabetical order. All right, so in this case, we have the table, let's see here, we have the table of admin underscore users, and then we have the table of pages. Those are the two that we're going to hook together with this many-to-many relationship. So using this naming convention, it should be named admin users, then underscore pages. So it needs to be plural, okay, and it needs to be in alphabetical order. A comes before P, right? And having this extra underscore in here doesn't really mess anything up. It's okay. So this is going to be the name of our join table. Okay. When you follow these naming conventions, it just saves you from a lot of heartache later down the road because you're giving Rails what it expects. All right, so we'll head over to the command prompt. Okay, and we're not going to be inside the console because we're going to create a migration. We're going to create a migration file that's going to create this join table for us. So this is going to be a review of what we've done before. Okay, so make sure you're in the root folder, which you are. Okay, and we're going to create the migration. So it's going to be Rails generate migration, and I'm going to call it create admin users pages. Okay, and the reason I'm calling it this, create admin users pages, because when it's done, it should generate this. Okay, so create is going to let us know that we're going to be creating a table with this. Okay, admin users should be put in there, and then pages should be put in there like this. We'll see when the migration file gets corrected or gets created. All right, so Rails generate migration, and this is the name of the migration. So I'm going to hit enter, and we should see it appear over here when it's done. Okay, it invoked the active record, it created it. So if we come over here, there it is, create admin users. Okay, and we can see because of the way that we named it, it knew, because we have create, it knew that we wanted to create a table. Okay, so put that in there, admin users, pages, pages. So it kind of created it for us when we created it this way. And that's what we wanted. So just a way to save some steps there. Okay, so we have create table admin users, and that's what we want. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is create an integer. So I'm going to say t integer. Remember, we're using t because of this right here. This is creating the table called admin users pages. Okay, and it's saving all of the different information of that table inside this variable t. So that's why we're using it here. So t integer, we're creating columns right now. We're going to create a column called admin user ID. This is going to be the foreign key that's used to attach an admin to a page, right? So this is going to be, every time you create an admin, it's going to have an ID that's going to be used to attach it to a page. And we're going to do the same thing here. So t integer, and we're going to create a page ID. So using these two columns, we're able to attach an admin to a page and a page to an admin. We can go both ways. Okay, now we talked about because of this relationship, we don't really need a primary key because we're going to be using the foreign keys to attach them together. So we don't need public keys. Sorry, not foreign keys. We definitely need the foreign keys, but we don't need the public keys here. And if you're going, what the heck? I don't understand. What are public keys here? Remember, if we go back to our sections, or we go back to subjects, okay, I'm going to view this. Okay, these are the public keys here, this ID. Remember? So any page that has, if we go back to pages and it has subject underscore ID of 1, that attaches it to Ruby on Rails. If it has subject ID underscore 2, that attaches it to PHP Rocks. So we're using this public key. Gosh, am I calling it right? Is it public key? Or was it private key? You guys probably know this right now. I'm going to pause it until I find it. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I was totally wrong. Primary key. There we go. That's what this PK stands for. So primary key is assigned to these. Okay, and this is the auto incrementing. So this works in a one-to-many because all we got to do is take the many and apply it to the primary key. Okay, but on this one it doesn't work because it's going to be multiple IDs at different times. So anyways, so we don't want it in this table. In this table, we do not want it to create this. Okay, we don't want it to create this auto incrementing ID column. So what we need to do is come over here and we have to define that and tell it to not do that. So right after admin user pages, we're going to put a comma and we're going to say ID is equal to false. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. So what that does is tells it to not create this key column here. It sets it up to not create that public or the primary key. I keep wanting to say called public. Not public, primary. So that's what we're doing here is we're saying do not create this public key. Oh my gosh, guys, you're going to shoot me. The primary key, it's telling it not to set up this primary key column because it's not useful in a join table. Okay? Oops, let's head back there. Okay. So we've told it not to do the primary key. That's what we're saying there. Okay, we've told it to set up an admin user ID column and a page ID column so they can go back and forth and attach to each other. Okay, we're going to end that. Now, just like we've done before, we want to define the up, so that's the up migration. Okay, and then we want to create the down migration, so define down. Okay, and we're going to end it. So the down migration is simple enough. It's just going to be drop table admin users pages. Okay, because we're creating the table here. If we do the migration down, we're just going to get rid of the table. Be careful with your ends here. Okay, remember this end right here is ending the class. Okay, this end right here is ending this loop here that creates the table, the do loop. Okay, this end right here is ending this definition of the up migration. Okay, and then this end is defining the down migration. Just be careful that you have all the ends because that can mess it up if you don't have the correct amount. Okay, now because I want both of these to be foreign keys, we have to add indexes to both of them. And there's a way we can do that in one statement. So we're going to say add index. Okay, and the table that we're adding the index to is admin users pages. Okay, and then the two columns that we're adding the indexes on are going to be admin user ID, right, inside of quotes, and then page ID. Okay, so if we wanted to, we could say add index, admin user pages, admin user ID, and then another line say add index as well, but we're just gonna, well, actually, I don't know if we can do it on this one with the join table. I think with a join table, you're supposed to do it this way. So just make sure you do it this way and you'll be fine. So again, all we're saying here is we're creating these indexes. We're saying these are going to be foreign keys basically that are going to allow the tables to be able to communicate with them. So it's going to allow the admin users table to communicate with the pages table. Okay, and then it's like we talked about, it's going to be the middleman here that holds the foreign keys of both of these tables, so we can apply multiple users to multiple pages and multiple pages to multiple users. So that's all we're doing there. Okay, so that should be it. Let me just double check for this migration page. Yeah, it looks like we're good to go there. All right, so let's get it created. So we're going to hop back here. All right, and if you remember, if you don't, it's okay. We're going to run the migration. So Rails space db migrate. So it's going to go out and see all the migration that's been ran. And if it's already been run, it won't run it again. It only runs this one because that's the only one that hasn't been ran. So it creates the table. We should be good. So we should be able to come back here and refresh the tables. And we should see admin users pages, which we do right here. So if I could right click on this, go to view data, we can take a look at what has been created. So we have an admin user ID and then a page ID. Should be able to move that over. There we go. So admin user ID, page ID, and they're both integers. So that's exactly what we wanted. So now we've created this join table that's going to hold both foreign keys so they'll be able to communicate and have the many-to-many relationship. Okay, so now that we've created the table, we have to define those relationships inside of our model pages, just like we were doing here. All right, so we're going to head over to the admin user model. Okay, and we're going to type in, we talked about it a while back, but we have, so has and belongs to many. Okay, and we're talking about admin users. So what does it have many and what does it belong to many pages, right? So an admin user is going to have and belong to many pages. Okay, so we'll save that. Okay, and then we're going to head over to page, and we're going to do basically the same thing. So I'm actually going to come over here and copy this, because it's always fun to be lazy every once in a while. Okay, and then we're going to say pages are going to have and belong to many admin users. Okay. Okay, so now that we've defined those relationships under page has and belongs to many admin users, go to admin users has and belongs to many pages, we should be able to test that out. So we can come over here, we're going to go back into the console. And it's good that we're going into the console now. Now that we've created these and saved these, it's good to run the console after that because it'll load the updated classes. So now I'm going to create a user. So I'm going to say me equals admin user. Okay, we're using this class right here to put it inside of that table. So admin user, we'll use create this time and not new. So it'll go straight in. So remember, we're messing with the admin users. So we have different columns. We have ID, first name, last name. I'm not going to put all of this in here. I'm just going to put in a couple of these things. So I'm going to say first name First name is going to be equal to Dave, right? Then I'm going to have last name equal to kid. Okay, and then I'll define a username. So the username here is going to be, I'll just say dkid. Okay, and let's see if the dang thing works. Okay, looks like it worked. Come over here and we can refresh just to make sure. Right, there we go. So it gave me the primary key. I'm trying to get that right. Primary key of 1. Now remember, this isn't the join table, so it's okay that we have a primary key. The first name is Dave, last name is Kid. So if this was a one-to-many relationship, all the many things that would be referring to me as an admin user would use my primary key of 1. Okay, but it's not. It's many-to-many. So this primary key really isn't going to have a... This primary key actually will kind of turn into my foreign key that will be used on the join table. Okay, but we'll see that happen. All right, so I created that. I created that username and I stored it inside of me. All right, so now I'm going to grab a page here. So I'm going to say page is going to be equal to page.find. I don't think, let's see, what page do we have? I can't remember. Go take a look. I'm going to view the pages here. I think I got rid of them, so I don't think I can use 2. No, so I'm going to have to say page with the ID of 3, and that's okay. So find 2, it should come back and say, yeah, I can't find anything. So page equals page.find3. Okay, so that gives us the first page, which is what we want. Okay, and just because I'm curious, sorry here guys, I'm going to go page.find. I don't think it's going to be able to find that other one because, oh, it should be able to find it because it does have that ID of 4. It just doesn't have a subject ID, which isn't good. Yeah, so the subject ID, not having a subject ID, that's not a good thing. We want to make sure that the one that we have does have a subject ID. So I'm going to go back and use the other one. So page.find3. Okay, so first page is now stored inside a page. Okay. Now we should be able to do, let's see here. All right, so we can check to see what I can say page.admin users to see what admin users has been applied to this page, the first page. So I go page.admin users. Okay, remember that's going back to here. Okay, we're using admin users because that's what we defined here. So I went to see if there's any admin users. We can see here that it does an inner join, which in other words, it's trying to access that join table. It goes through and it tries to look and then it returns an empty array. So in other words, there are no users assigned to that page, which is exactly what we're expecting, right? Because we haven't been set it. We haven't set it yet. So now I can say page, which is page, that first page, dot admin users. Okay, and we're just going to add it to that array, right? Like we did before with the one-to-many. Now, what's the variable that holds my username, right? It's me. So we're saying take the page, okay, which is this first page here. That's what's stored inside a page. We're saying take that page. We're going to add an admin user to it. And the admin user that we're going to be adding to is what's stored inside of me. Okay, so we hit enter. Again, Rails is smart enough to know that the SQL that needs to be generated. So insert inside of admin user pages, the admin user ID and the page ID values, okay, So admin user 1, page ID 3, and then it returns back what we have. So now I can say page.adminUsers, and it's going to return to me what users are applied to that page. So now if we come back, this is where things get a little crazy, a little weird. So now we can go check out our join table. So I'm going to view all the rows here. So we have an admin user ID of 1. Let's kind of expand this out a little bit. Okay, admin user ID of 1 and a page ID of 3. Well, what the crap does that mean? So if we go to admin user, so we're going to do admin user ID of 1, page ID of 3. So if we go to admin user, we're going to be looking for an ID of 1. Okay, well, the ID of 1 is me, Dave Kidd. Okay, so I know that I have some sort of permission. If I go to page and we view the data there, we're looking for ID of 3. So now I know that inner join table is saying the user with the ID of 1, which is me, Dave Kidd, has access to the page with the ID of 3, which is first page. So that's all that is doing. It's doing that many-to-many relationship here. So it's saying the user ID, the user that has the ID of 1 has access to the page with the ID of 3. That's all that inner join table, that join table's doing. Okay, and that's what we created here. As we said, take that page, which is the first page, add an admin user to it, and the admin user you're going to be adding is whatever's stored inside of me. And that's where it went in. It used that join table, and it put in the user ID of me, and it put in the page ID of the first page. Okay. So now, like I said, now I can say me dot pages. Okay, and that's going to tell me what pages I have access to, which it goes through and it tells me I have access to first page. So it goes both ways. And it's using that join table because of the many-to-many relationship. So now it can put those two tables together. I know it's getting a little crazy, but I'm trying to explain it as well as I can here and trying to visually show you what's going on. But it's just that join table. It tells you the admin user with the ID of 1 has access to the page with the ID of 3. That's all that's going on there. And all of this works because we define the relationship here. We just said many admin users will have access to many pages. Okay, and right here, same thing. Admin users have and belong to many pages. Okay, that's what we're doing there. Okay, so that's it for the simple many-to-many joins. Now we got to talk about the rich one. Many-to-many rich is what it's called. And where this comes into play is, say, if we come back here, so we have, let's just go down here a little bit. So what if, we have course information, and then we have the join table, right? And then we have the student info. So this works, the many-to-many simple works fine when it's like, okay, assign a course to a student and assign a student to a course, right? That works fine. But what if course info has like seat number or maybe section number? The course has a lot of different information about it. And then the student, I don't know, there's more information with the students. The point is, like, what if you have a lot of different information inside of this table besides just the course that has to be applied to this student? We're like, okay, well, great, he's assigned to science class, but he's assigned in seat 6B, and there's a bunch of different science classes, so he's going to be in a different section. And so, in other words, you're getting a bunch of different information inside of course that needs to be applied to student, or you may have a bunch of new information that's applied to student that needs to be applied to that class. Like maybe you need to have I don't know, maybe it's some weird class where you have to have a certain amount of male students and a certain amount of female students. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. But you got to be able to have all this information in here, hook up with all this information in here, and this is where it becomes a lot more complicated. And the join table is going to be a lot more than just, okay, what student is applied to what course. It's going to have all the different information applied to that student, applied to all the different information that's applied to this course. And I'm telling you, this started to make my brain explode a little bit. Okay, but that's what we're going to be talking about is these rich many-to-many relationships. Okay, or besides the seat number and section number, maybe the time that it starts. Maybe it starts at different times, and just a bunch of different things there that it could be. Okay. Now this type of relationship is still going to use a join table. Okay, it's just going to hold a lot more foreign keys now, right? But also in this one, well, it's going to hold the two foreign keys, but also this time it's going to require a primary key. Okay. So anyways, and then also the join table is going to have its own model, so we need to create a model for that. Okay, just like we did before, we're going to generate a model. Okay, and the way we're going to use this in this project is we're going to attach admin user to section. Okay, so basically we can keep track of admin users and when they make changes to the section, so we're able to communicate all that different information between those two tables. So going back here, it's going to be admin users. Okay, and we're going to keep track of the sections. So when they make changes, what changes, and so forth. All right. So we want to set that up. Okay, and I'm not going to lie, this part of the lesson gets a little nuts. Okay, and this is where I ran into some issues. So if you run it, I ran into actually the belongs to validation. I ran into an issue there, and so I had to do some things to fix that, and it'll be interesting to see if you guys do as well. Okay, there's really no naming conventions. So like the many-to-many here, we have that naming convention. There's really no naming conventions with these rich many-to-many relationships. Okay, but it works by using, to be honest, I haven't had a lot. It just says, what I was going through says it works really good when you use words that end in ships, like memberships, and mints, like engagements. But I guess we'll probably see more of that as we go through. All right, so like I said, we're going to be doing with admin users and sections. Okay, so that's going to have this many-to-many rich relationship here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a model. So come back here. I'm going to exit out of the console. I can't create models here. Make sure you're in the root folder here. Okay, and we're going to say Rails. All right, generate. So Rails generate. We're going to generate a model called section edit. And I think my kids are killing each other. I don't know. So if you hear crying and stuff, sorry. Yeah, like I said, you can probably hear them screaming like little psychos back there. So we're going to say Rails generate model, and we're going to call it section edit. So again, this is going to be keeping track of when admin users make changes to the sections that are under the pages. Okay. So we will hit enter. Now remember, when you create a model, it's going to create a migration file for you, and it's going to do all these different things. And that's we need to hop over to the migration file. So we got create section edits is what it's called. Okay, and it's going to create a table called section edits, and that's what we want. Okay, so it's going to be creating another table inside of our project here. Okay, so we got create table, and we got to do the same thing here that we did with the join table. We just need to start putting in some stuff here. So we're going to do an integer. Okay, the integer is going to be admin user ID, because remember we want to be able to track what admin user is making the edits. Okay, we're going to say t dot integer section ID because we want to be able to track what section was messed with, right? Okay, and then we're going to create a string column called summary. And I'm guessing, I don't know yet, but I'm guessing this is going to be a column that just you can put in a summary of the changes, or it's going to be computer generated. I don't know. We'll see when we get there. Okay, we want to keep the timestamps. That's fine when it's created and updated at. Okay, and then we're going to end it now, just like we did before. We want the up state. Okay, and then we're going to define the down state right here. So define down, and just like it's going to be drop table. So drop table section edits. So if we're to do a down migration, we get rid of it, and make sure you throw an end in there. Now, because this is a rich many-to-many, we do want the primary key. So we're not going to say the ID of faults up here. We do want to have a primary key this time. Okay, again, I'm just going to check really quick. We do need to add the index. Okay, so we need to be able to tell it what are going to be the foreign keys that are going to be used to communicate with each other. It's going to be these two, right? Because we need to know what section was edited by what user. So add the index like we did before. We're going to be adding the index to the table section edits. Okay, and we're going to throw in the array again. And we're going to be adding the index to admin user ID. And the index is going to be added to section ID. So again, be careful with your ends. Make sure they all match up. We got the class. This end matches up with the class. Okay, this end matches up with this do statement here. Okay, this end matches up with the definition of up. Okay, this end matches up with the definition of down. So we got the integer of admin user ID, integer section ID, the string of summary. These are all the columns that are going to be put inside of this table. Timestamps. Okay, we're adding the index to the table of section edits, so these should be the same here. Okay, admin user ID, section ID, and once you do that, it should be good. So we are going to save that migration file, and we're going to hop back and run it. So Rails db migrate. So again, it checks to see which one of these have been ran. This is the only one that hasn't been ran, so it should go out there and create it. So we should see a table of section edits now. So I'm going to come back out here, refresh our tables. Okay, and there it is, section edits. We go inside of it, going to view the data, view all the rows, just to make sure everything got put in there right. So we do have the primary key, which is good. We have the admin user ID, which is good. That's how we'll track. Holy cat, guys, it's getting late. So we're going to track which user messes with it, and the section ID. How we're going to track which section gets messed with, and then the summary. And then we have the timestamps there. So looks like it got created exactly how we wanted it. Now we need to set up the associations, right? So head back here. Okay, we're going to go into, let's move this over a little bit. All right, so we're going to head over to admin users. Okay, and we have to define what's going to happen here. So an admin user is going to have Now, because this is a different type of many-to-many, we're not using has and belongs to many. We're going to go into admin user and we're going to type has many, and it's going to have many section edits. So all that's saying is that an admin user can have a lot of section edits. So at me, Dave Kidd, an admin user, I can go in there and I can edit multiple sections, and I can have multiple section edits applied to me in the table, and that's fine. Okay, then we're going to go into section edit. This is just created. Okay, we're going to go in here and we're going to say, let's see here, we're going to say belongs to. Okay, and this is going to belong to section. So it does kind of seem like we're setting this up as a one-to-many, right? But we'll be making some edits here that's going to show you how this is going to work. So an admin user will be able to have many section edits. Okay, and then section edits are going to belong to section, which is over there. So you can see already how it's not really functioning like the other one, right? We have admin user, which is going to have many section edits. So we come over here, okay, and the section edit is going to belong to the section table. So it's starting to get a little crazy here, but we can go in there and we can start kind of messing around with it a little bit. All right, so I'm outside of the console, which is good. I'm going to just hit File here, and I'm going to do Save All, just in case I've forgotten to save one of these. And we'll go in here and we'll go into the console. Wait a couple seconds for that to come up. All right, so let me try to demonstrate what's going on. So we're going to do the me thing again. So I'm going to say me user admin, or sorry, it's the other way around, admin user. We're going to define the first one. So that's me. So inside of me, I just stored the admin user Dave Kidd. Okay. So I should be able to type me, and it's going to throw up what I just have there. Now to see what section edits I've done, I can type me section edits. Okay, so remember when we come over to here, an admin user can have many section edits. So I can take, so it's defining that relationship here. So I can say, as me, as this admin user, have I had any section edits? And I hit enter, it returns an empty array because I haven't edited anything yet. So that makes sense. Okay, so now we can create a section, and this is where I had an issue, so it's going to be interesting to see if I have it again. But I'm going to create a section by typing section equals section.create. So again, we're creating a section here. Okay, and we've told that section edit, it belongs to section. Okay. So I'm going to go section.create, and then I'm going to throw in a section here. I haven't created this yet. So the name we'll say is section 1. Okay, the position is going to be 1. Now that's all they defined on the guides that I'm following here. And I want to see if this works. So let's see. Okay, so it worked. So what I did before, I had something wrong. When I did this before, it said that there was no page that it could identify with. And it probably had something to do with my page IDs, now that I'm thinking about it here. I don't know, to be honest, why it didn't work. But if this doesn't work for you, what I had to do is I had to type in, it was said there was no page associated with it, so basically I had to come in here and I had to manually define a page ID. So I gave it a page ID of whatever page I wanted to assign it to. So I think I gave it a page ID of like 3 or 4. So I said page ID of 3, so therefore I was defining the page ID and I didn't get that belongs to validation error. Okay, so if you get that, just define the page ID manually. But we can see that it created the section, it created the position. So now if we come back and take a look here, we can go to section and it should be in there. Okay, there it is. So page ID is null. So I guess it was okay with it not having a page ID assigned to it. And that's fine. I think it must have been, like, let's see here. Sorry to waste your time wondering about this, but so if I go to section, belongs to page. See, that's interesting because it's telling it that it belongs to page and it doesn't have a page and it didn't care about that. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm looking at the wrong one. Sorry, guys. Oh, gosh. All right, so if I go to section, okay, so I don't have anything there. So it must have been, yeah, I put something in there that made it want to do that. And that's okay. Because, I mean, really, like, we should be doing the same thing here, and we should probably do this right now. So if we have we have a one-to-many relationship between section and page, right? So we can say that page has many sections, right? Just like how we come up here with subject and it has many pages. Okay, we're going to do the same thing here. So, and then section is going to belong to page. You know what? And that might be, to be honest, why it let me do that, because I didn't have this defined here where I did in my other project. So page is going to have many sections, and section belongs to page because it's going to have the one-to-many thing. So now I want to try that again. All right, so I'm going to erase this one and try creating it again now that I did those associations. So I'm going to say page is going to be equal to page.find1. No. Why? Oh, wait. I'm doing sections here. So it's going to be section.find1. Okay, so if I throw out what section is, it's the section 1. So I should be able to say section.destroy. Okay, and it should have got rid of it. So let's view it, make sure it's gone, which it is. So now if I try to create this again, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And again, I know you're probably like, Dave, we don't care. And if you want, you can skip forward. But this is just, I ran into issues, and I just want to see if I can duplicate it or not. But anyways, so now that I deleted it, I want to see if I can create. So what I did, just to remember. So I went into section. I said it belongs to page. In other words, now when I create a section, it has to have a page associated with it for it to be created. If it's not, it'll give me that error. And then over here I said page will have many sections. Okay, so I made that one-to-many relationship, just like I did the one-to-many relationship with subject. Subject has many pages, and page belongs to subject. Just did the same thing there. All right, so now we're going to go back and do what we did a few seconds ago. So I'm going to create a new section, or try to, and see what it does. So I'm going to say section equals section create. Okay, and we're going to say name is going to be equal to section 1, just like we had before. Okay, position is going to be equal to 1. And then we'll see if this yells at us or not. Okay, doesn't. Oh, hold on. I'm going to exit out. I'm wondering if that actually went through. It did, but it's still null, but I think it's because I didn't reload the new associations. Man, guys, you're loving me, I know it. So now I'm going to do, I called that in section, right? Oh, wait, I just exited out. Crap. So I'm going to say, go back in, so rel C. I'm going to delete it again, try it one more time. So I'm going to say section is equal to section.find2, because it has an ID of 2 there. Okay, so we got it. So section, so I'm going to say section.destroy. Okay, it should be gone now. Okay, and now I'm going to say, do it again. So section equals section.create name. Good thing about this, if you're following along with me, you're getting these commands down pretty well, which is good. Now, what was it? So that I defined was a name and a position. So position 1. Okay, that's what I was getting before. So it tried to do it and then it rolled back. Now there's something also that you can type. So I could say section, because I've had that, I have it assigned. I can say section dot errors dot full underscore message, and I wanted to show you this before. Okay, maybe not. Section, right? So section dot errors dot full messages. Okay, so this will tell us what the full message of the error is. So it says page must exist. So this is an example of this belongs to issue. And you won't run into this. The only reason I'm running into this is because I went in and I defined these relationships. I said if I'm creating a new section, it needs to have a page associated with it, because I said it belongs to page. And I'm not doing that here, and that's why it's freaking out. Well, I didn't tell you to add this belongs to page and has many sections until a few minutes ago. So I would add it now and just get it, because this is how it's going to be anyways. But you don't have to if you just want to go through and have it work. But I'd recommend putting that in there. So now I did the section errors full messages, and it tells me what the issue is. Page must exist. In other words, when I create a section, I have to associate it with a page or it won't work. So now I can just kind of type that out again. And this is good because it shows you how to fix this problem. So I can say section equals section.create. Okay. And again, we're going to say name. So this is just what we did before. So name section 1. Okay, position is going to be equal to 1. Okay, but now we need to define a page ID. When we define a page ID, we're now defining what page this section should be attached to. So if I come back here and I check out my pages, all right, we got a page with an ID of 3, and I want it to be attached to that. So I'm going to say ID of 3. I can't really attach it to, well, no, I think we're okay here. I'm just going to attach it to 3. All right, so page ID of 3. I don't want to mess with this one because right now it's null. It's kind of this orphan thing. So I'm going to hit OK. Now it did it, and it knows what to do. So now if I head over to section, okay, it created that section. The page ID is 3. It knows it's associated with the page with the ID of 3, and everything's happy. And it was able to do that because it knew what page it needed to belong to. And that's because I said each section has to belong to a page. Okay, and each page has many sections. Okay, I know that was a lot there, but I just wanted to make sure that that worked. Okay, so now we know that section was created and was created correctly, and it was associated to page ID 3, which if we head over here, page with the ID of 3 is first page. Okay, cool. Let's move on. All right, so if I type in section, it's going to give me that section that I just made. And so I can say section dot section edits to see if there's any edits that have been applied to that, and there hasn't been. So it's freaking out. Okay, so if I come over here, sections, let's view that. Okay, so this section has an ID of 3, so whenever any section edit, it should be attached to that ID of 3. All right, forgot something really quick. So I'm in here trying to say, section dot section edits, and it's freaking out. Pretty sure it's because I forgot to put this in the association as well. So we're going to have, this has belongs to section, and section edit also, maybe you would have caught this too. It belongs to section, but section edit also belongs to admin users. Okay, or admin user. So when we create a section edit, it's going to belong to the section. We got to figure out what section's being edited, and then also, because remember, section edit is this join table. And then also section edit belongs to admin user because admin user does section edits as well. So the section edit is going to hold what user did the edit and then what section was edited. All right, so saving that. Okay, and then I'm going to exit out, and then I'm going to load it back in. So hopefully it'll reload those new associations. Okay, now I'm going to do me equals admin user dot find one. Okay, so now me holds me as an admin user. Okay, and I should be able to go me dot section edits. Okay, and it's giving me nothing because I haven't done anything. Okay, so we created that section. So I'm going to say section equals section dot find. What was the section? It is ID of 3 because I made a bunch and deleted some. Your ID may be a little bit different. Like I said, I deleted a couple of these, so ID is now 3 because it auto increments. So section will store that. So me gives me that. Section gives me that. Okay. Now I should be able to say section dot section edits. It's still not doing it. Hold on. All right, sorry guys, I just had the scare of a lifetime. I looked down at my headset and it looked like it was muted, so I had to go and check things, and holy cow. Luckily I wasn't muted. I was only muted myself for the last like 30 seconds, so I had to export this video and I had to put them all together. So we have this weird stop in between, but man, I thought I just made a 2-hour video with myself muted the whole time, and that was scary. All right, so we're back to section. Okay, that's what's stored inside a section. Now, if we try to access the section edits, okay, it freaks out because we can't reach across there. Come over to section, belongs to page. We're not able to reach across from the section to go over to the section edits page here. So we gotta create some stuff. So what we need to do is create a new edit. All right, so we're going to, inside of our section edits table, we're going to create an edit in there. Now, if we look at our section edit, it belongs to admin user and it belongs to section. So when we create a section edit, it needs to make sure that it's assigned to a user and it's assigned to a section, or we're going to get that belongs to validation error. All right, so I'm going to create an edit here. So I'm going to type edit. Hold on. All right, we're going to say edit is going to equal section edit. Okay, remember we're calling this class here. So section edit dot new. Okay, so I created it. I didn't fill anything in there. So now I'm going to say edit dot summary is equal to test edit. So now if I call edit, everything's nil except for the summary. Summary's test edit, and that's what I want. Now we can go section dot section edits. Okay, we can try to put that in there. Right, so we got section dot section edits, and we're going to try to put that edit that we just created inside of the section edits table. Okay, and it's freaking out. It's not letting us do that. So what we need to do is define some more things here. Yeah, I'm a horrible teacher. Sorry, guys. So there's another part that I missed. So we have section belongs to page, right? And then we have over here section edit belongs to admin user. So if we go to admin user, has many section edits. Okay, so both sides of that relationship have been defined. Admin user is going to have a bunch of section edits. Okay, and section edit belongs to admin user. So that's good. But then we have belongs to section as well, but we didn't define the other side of that relationship. Okay, we didn't say in here that this is going to have a lot of section edits. We said that this belongs to section inside a section edit, but inside a section we didn't say has many section edits. Okay, forgot to do that. I looked at my notes and I didn't have that written anywhere, so I must have skipped that. So anyway, so now once we do that, all these issues here, the section edits, that's why we were getting that error, because we never hooked up section here to section edits. We never told it that it could communicate and have that relation there. So now that we save it, I'm just going to exit out, and what I was trying to do hopefully should work now. All right, so we got me equals admin user dot find one. Okay, so me is that. We're going to have section is going to be equal to section dot find three. Okay, because if we go to section here, we're going to be grabbing this one with the ID of 3. All right, so now if I say me.section, me.section edits, it's not going to find anything, gives me an empty array. If I do section.section edits, okay, There we go. It's working now. Now it actually created that relation, and it was able to go and look, and it gave me an empty thing there. So hopefully that made sense. I just didn't complete the relation there. The section edit I said belongs to section, but I didn't say that section is going to have a bunch of section edits. So therefore the connection wasn't complete, and I wasn't able to see what section has section edits on it because I didn't complete that. Okay, cool. So, let's see here. I think we created that edit, so we can come here and take a look. Going to view the data on section edits. Or maybe we didn't, because no, I don't think it was able to go in because we didn't have that relation set up. All right, so now let's get doing that. So we'll have edit is going to be equal to. Oh, actually, I needed to show you guys something first here. So anyway, so we can say edit equals section edit new. Okay. Then we're going to have edit.summary is going to be equal to test summary. Okay, we already did this. So now if I say edit.summary, it's going to tell me it's test summary. Okay, but again, we haven't put this in the database. So we can try to attach it like we did before. We can try to say section.set section edits edit. Okay, so we're going to basically say whatever is stored inside a section, okay, which is section 3. Okay, that first section over here. So this section right here, section 1, is stored inside a section. And then we're going to say we want to add to a section edit this edit that we have stored, which has the test summary inside of it. So we hit enter. It tries to do it. It tries to commit it, and then it says false. And that's going back to our relations here because we said inside, oh my gosh, it's so annoying that it does this. There we go. This goes back to our session edit here. So what we were trying to do is create a summary, trying to create an edit here, a section edit that had a summary, okay, that had a summary, but it didn't have an admin user, it didn't have a section, all it had was summary. So if I type in edit, it didn't have an ID, didn't have an admin user, didn't have a section ID. Well, I guess it did have the section ID of 3. So yeah, that makes sense because when we grabbed the section from here. Okay, so the section ID was 3 and the summary of test summary. But the problem is it needs, remember, it belongs to section and it belongs to admin user. So it had a section 3, had the summary, test summary, but it didn't have the admin user. Okay. So all we got to do is just define, we just got to make sure that it's kind of the same issue we had before when we were trying to create that section. The section belongs to page and I didn't define the page so it wouldn't let us. So it's the same thing here. So if we come in here, we can do edit equals section edit dot new summary test summary. We can just say test edit. Okay, this time we're going to define an admin user, and the admin user is going to be me because all my information is stored inside of me. And then the section is going to be section because all of it's stored inside of there as well. Okay, so now when we hit enter, of course, it doesn't work. Uh, hold on a second. Yeah, I'm an idiot. My notes have destroyed me again. So let me hit up on the keyboard. So it is not admin-user. I should have caught that. Admin_user. Okay, that should make it happy here. Maybe. Oh, great. Now it's going back to all the stuff I did before. That's okay. So we can come up here. We'll just type it out again. All right, so we got edit. Oh, no, we got to go back into Rails or back into the console. Sometimes it kicks me out when I hit up too much. It's kind of weird. All right, so we have edit equals section edit. Okay, we're using that class up here. Dot new. Summary is going to be test edit. Okay, admin user is going to be me, which isn't going to work now, I'm pretty sure. Oh my gosh. Wow, guys. I know you're wanting to punch me. Yeah. We got to set all this crap up again. So admin user dot find one. Okay, so me is now equal to that. Section needs to be equal to section dot find three. All right, we should be good now. All right. Wow. Yeah, this video is really long and it's mainly my fault. Sorry, guys. So, anyways, section edit dot new. Bust out the summary. Okay, the summary is going to be equal to test edit. Okay, admin underscore user, not dash, is going to be equal to me because me is now saved with I saved it up here. Okay, and then the section is going to be section because I saved it right there. So my whole point is it wasn't working before because I was trying to create it without an admin user, and so it wasn't allowing us. But now that we've defined a section, we got the section there, and we've defined the admin user because belongs to exists, it needs both, this should work. Holy Hannah. Guys, it is so, wow. Yeah, need admin user in front of that. You're probably watching that yelling at me, dude, Dave. Okay. Holy crap. There we go. So now it's saved all in there. So summary is tested, admin user, it grabbed it from there. It knows that the admin user ID is 1. So it went out there and found the primary key there. Section ID is 3. It with the primary key there. So it grabbed that and was able to do that, and the summary was test edit. Holy Hannah, that was ridiculous. Okay, so now that we have that all saved inside of edit, we're going to save it. So edit.save, so this is going back a couple weeks doing it this way. So now it actually put it inside the database. Holy crap. So now we can come over here, view the data. Okay, and then there it is. Test edit, the section ID is 3. Okay, that's the section 1. The admin user is 1. That's me. Okay, and remember section edits is this join table. Okay, so this is keeping track of the section that was edited, who edited it, and what the summary was of that edit. Okay. All right. So Okay, now we should be able to take some look at everything. So we can see me.section edits, and we can get all the section edits that I've done. Okay, it gives me that section edit ID of 1, which is right here. Okay, and then it lets me know that I did that test edit there. Okay, and we can go all right. Yeah, that's really, I think, all we need to know there. Well, I think we can go section edits as well. Okay, and that'll go out to section 3, or the first section, section 1, and then it will tell us what sections have been edited. And it'll give us the admin user ID and everything. Now, before when I went in here and I changed all this stuff and things weren't working because I had to exit out and go back in, you should be able, there's another thing you should be able to do. You should be able to do like a me.section edits and then do a reload here. And what that should do is that should, if you're trying to run it and because you've updated these associations and it isn't working, instead of having to exit out of the console and then go back in, that should work. You should be able to add a reload there at the end, and that should go in there and get it from the database and kind of refresh everything. I tried that once and it worked. So good thing to know there. Probably should have told you that at the beginning of the video, but this video is kind of crashing and burning anyways. So, and now I got kids beating each other up again. Okay. All right. So we did that. Okay. So that's for the rich many-to-many things. Okay. We only have one more thing to go through, and then we'll be done here. All right. So this next part gets a little crazy, just like all this stuff. So with many-to-many, we had set up page and admin users, right? So we go to page, okay, has and belongs to many admin users. We go to admin users, has and belongs to many pages. So we were able to load up a page and say page.admin users. Oh, I guess it'd be more like me.pages, or I don't know. Let's hold over here. So I'm going to load me up. Okay, so admin user, find one. Okay, and then I can say me.pages, I guess is what it would be. Yeah, so me.pages, so it tells me all of the pages that I'm an admin user. So we can reach across the join table because we can come here, we're inside of me, or we're inside of the admin users, right? It goes inside of admin users, then it goes to the admin users pages table to figure out what's going on. So it would go here. So I'm an admin user of 1. It goes here and it shows the admin user with the ID of 1 has access to the page with the ID of 3. So it's able to tell me that. Okay, so it's pretty simple to reach across that join table and figure out which admin has access to what page. Well, the problem here, and the thing that gets a little bit crazier, is what we just did. So we have the section, okay, that has many section edits, okay, but section edit belongs to 2 different tables now. So if I was inside of a section and I wanted to see what admin user has control over that section, or what admin made an edit to that section, you know, in a happy world, I should be able to just say something like me.sections, right? But we can't do that. We're not able to do that. I can say me.section edits, okay, and it will tell me the edits that I've done. But if I wanted to see what section I edited, I should be able to say me.sections, but I can't. And that's because it starts over here in the admin user. Okay, it has many section edits, so it goes to the section edit, but there is no has and belongs to many relation here. It just, I start at the admin user, I come over to the section edit join table, and it only belongs to these two tables. So basically, I need to be able to go from admin user into section edit, and then from there go through onto the table of section so I can see which section it was that I edited. I know, this is crazy. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Basically what we're doing right now is we're going to make it so I can do me.sections and see what sections I've edited. Okay, because right now we can't. Me.section edits we can see because I can grab that from admin user, I can go into sections edit and pull it from there, but I want to be able to go from this join table and go further into the section table. So that's what we're going to do. And that, it's called has many through. Okay, so what we want to do is go into the user model here. Okay, and we're going to add that it has many sections if you go through the section edit tables. All right. So we're saying, hey, look, basically this is what what I did here. You know, that should work once we quit and load this, because we're basically saying, look, if I'm an admin user, I have a lot of sections as well attached to the admin user if I go through the section edits table. Because if we come to the section edits table, we see that it belongs to sections, so section edit does have that connection to the section table. So over here, we're just saying, hey, look, there's more stuff. If there's more stuff in the sections table that I'm going to hook up to with admin user if you go through section edits. Okay. Alrighty. So then we need to set that up. So we have admin user able to get to section, okay, through that section edit, but we also want the section to be able to go and see the admin users as well, right? So we're going to come over here and we're going to do kind of the same thing, but it's going to be reversed. So this has many admin users if we go through the section edits table. So it goes both ways. So if I want to see what admin user messed with this section, I'm going to have to go through the section edit table to get to the admin users table. Okay, if I'm the admin user and I want to see what section I messed with, I need to go through the section edits table to be able to do that. Okay, so let's head back over to section, make sure I typed this in right. I did not. Through needs that colon there. So I typed that wrong. Good thing I double checked. It's getting late. All right, so it has many sections through section edits inside of admin. And if I'm in section and I want to go to the admin users, I can say I have a lot of admin users, but you have to go through the section edits table. Okay. I'm not, so let's test it. So I'm going to say me equals, I think I've already have it actually. So me, yep, so me is saved already with that name. But I'm also going to say me dot, can I just say reload that way? That might have refreshed everything I just did here. So I'm going to make sure this is saved. I'm going to make sure this is saved. Hit file save all as well. So me.reload. Hopefully that'll refresh it all. So I got my username stored inside of me. So I should be able to go section edits like I did before. Okay, that's going to show me all the section edits that I've done. But I should be able to see the sections now. Of course not. And because it doesn't work, I'm just going to exit. Trust me, guys, this is painful for me too. All right, let's try that again. So me, admin user. It might have been that reload just didn't work. We'll see. So me, section, edits. So it found that me dot sections. There we go. So now it works. So up here, where was it? Me.sections didn't give me anything, so I exited out, came out, and now when I type in me.sections, it's able to go through to sections, going through section edit. So it can reach the sections that I have control over, or that I've edited, going through the table of section edits. Okay. And I can reverse it now, so I can do section equals section dot find 3. Okay, so now I should be able to say section dot admin underscore users. Okay, where I wouldn't have been able to do that before. So now it's going through, it's doing this inner join again. I mean, this is just some complicated SQL that you'd have to write out. And the crazy thing is, this seems pretty complicated to me as well, like all this Rails stuff. But I can't even imagine doing the SQL that it would require to do what we're doing right now. So I don't know. Maybe you guys are database geniuses, but for me, this has been pretty crazy. I'm thinking about how all these tables relate. All I can say is if you're like just kind of blinking your eyes going, what? Practice this. I mean, just making all these mistakes in these videos and stuff, I've learned a ton. And I definitely understand it a lot better than the first time I went through. But that's it. That's all I wanted to show you guys. Okay, now because this was so dang painful, I'm not going to make you go out and create anything new. All I want you to do is when you're done, when you've gone through this video, just take a screenshot of all these different pages. Okay, so the page, admin user, section edit, and so forth. So close out of that. So really all I need you to do is go to page.rb, take a screenshot, just to show me that you've done it. Okay, admin user, section edit, section, subject. Okay, just to kind of prove that you went through the crazy jumps, through the crazy hoops, and that you just did it. Because all this is going to need to be set up as well to do the content management system here that we're going to be doing. So, and I hope we finish. Holy cow. We don't have a lot of time left. Anyways, I apologize, guys, for this being so long, but I was struggling through it, but at least I got through it. Okay. Also, like I said, I'm learning with you. But if you have any questions, let me know. I should be able to help you get this stuff to work. But yeah, good luck. We'll talk to you later, guys.